Imagine meeting two strangers at a party. One of them is dressed sharply, has a firm handshake, and smiles warmly. The other is dressed messily, mumbles a greeting, and avoids eye contact. Within the first 10 seconds, before either of them says a single meaningful sentence, you have already started forming opinions about their intelligence, their kindness, and even how successful they probably are in life. Neither of those judgments came from any actual evidence. They came entirely from a first impression that your brain quietly expanded into a complete personality, filling in blanks you never actually observed, using nothing more than a handshake and a shirt. And yet those quick impressions often stick around far, longer than they probably should, quietly shaping how you interpret everything that person says or does from that point forward. Psychologists call this the halo effect. It describes how one single positive trait, like attractiveness, confidence, or charisma, quietly influences how you perceive a person's completely unrelated traits, like their intelligence, honesty, or competence. Your brain does not evaluate people trait by trait, carefully and independently. It forms one overall impression, usually within seconds, and then unconsciously reshapes every new piece of information to match that original impression. If someone seems likable at first glance, your brain starts assuming they are probably also smart, trustworthy, and skilled, even before you have any real evidence supporting those specific assumptions at all, simply because one positive quality quietly convinced your brain to assume the rest, filling in an entire personality from a single small data point, one that could just as easily have been completely misleading from the start. Researchers demonstrated this by asking military commanders to rate their soldiers on completely separate qualities, including intelligence, leadership, and physical fitness. Commanders who rated a soldier highly on one trait consistently rated that same soldier highly on the other traits too, even when the traits had absolutely nothing to do with each other logically. In a separate and now famous study, participants were shown photographs of people they had never met and asked to guess their personalities. Attractive individuals were consistently rated as more intelligent, more sociable, and more likely to succeed in life, based purely on a photograph, with zero actual information about who any of these people really were, beyond a single still photograph and a handful of assumptions their faces happened to trigger, none of which had any real connection to who those people actually were underneath. This bias has real measurable consequences across everyday life. Attractive job candidates are often rated as more competent during interviews, regardless of their actual qualifications on paper. Taller political candidates tend to win elections more often, as if height alone somehow implies leadership ability. Teachers grading identical essays sometimes give higher marks to students they perceive as likable or well-behaved, even when the actual writing quality is exactly the same. Even in courtrooms, defendants who are considered more physically attractive have sometimes received measurably lighter sentences than less attractive defendants convicted of similar crimes, proving that a single surface-level impression can quietly influence decisions that are supposed to be based entirely on merit or evidence, in settings where fairness is supposed to matter the most, and where a single glance was never meant to carry that much weight in the first place. This effect also works in reverse, sometimes called the horn effect. One negative first impression, like an awkward introduction or an unfortunate appearance, can quietly poison how every future action from that person gets interpreted. A kind gesture from someone with a bad first impression might get read as suspicious or manipulative, while the exact same gesture from someone with a good first impression gets read as genuine and thoughtful. The behavior never changed. Only the lens through which it was being judged did. Once your brain locks in an early impression, positive or negative, it becomes remarkably reluctant to update that impression, even when the new evidence clearly points in a different direction, quietly bending each new observation until it fits the story that was already decided, long before that person ever got a fair chance to actually prove otherwise. The best defense against the halo effect is deliberately separating traits before judging them, instead of letting one impression bleed into every other category. When evaluating someone for a job, a relationship, or any important decision, try assessing each specific quality on its own. Competence, honesty, reliability one at a time, ideally without seeing anything that would trigger an unrelated first impression at all. Ask yourself directly whether you actually have evidence for a specific trait, or whether you are simply extending a feeling you formed about something completely different. If this video changed how much you trust your own first impressions, subscribe, because the halo you saw around someone might have said more about your brain than it ever did about them. And the same is probably true of every halo they saw around you, shaped by nothing more than a first glance neither of you consciously chose.